The multi-class of Rogue Assassin and Shadow Monk that will be the perfect embodiment of the Dark Urge in Baal's Assassins. It will have unusual gameplay through dagger throws, whose damage dice will be 1d6, not 1d4 as usual, infinite and free invisibility, similarly teleports and critical hits, a beautiful combination of race, classes, and the character's roleplay. Insane damage already at the 4th level, which gives opponents no chance of survival and will only grow until the 3rd act, where we'll be able to deal 880 damage in one turn. You thought the barbarian was cool at throwing things at the 3rd, 4th level? You haven't seen the rogue do it yet. And how did I get such an idea? To make a rogue with daggers. Well, you just wrote about it in the comments and asked such questions on streams with inviolable regularity. I always answered that such an undertaking is ineffective because daggers in D and D, and therefore in Baldur's Gate 3, are by definition worse simply because of the damage dice only 1d4. It's not a full-fledged weapon as we're used to in other games. But what is this if not a good challenge to make something cool out of them? And how many times was I surprised while making this video? But first things first, in this video we have 3 tasks. First, we need a rogue or at least part of a rogue. Second, we need to figure out how to effectively use daggers with this rogue. And third, to coolly mix this with the Dark Urge story. So for race, we take whom? Correct, Duergar. Dwarven combat training isn't particularly needed. Duergar Dark Vision is cooler than regular dwarves. Advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance to its damage is a very useful thing. And even cooler, advantage on saving throws against charm and paralysis is already very worthy, buff-wise. And then it will only get cooler. And look what a stern dude turned out. Who knows what beast he stuffed on his head? Write in the comments. Class? Of course, rogue. With such slightly strange stats, why do we need 17 constitution? You will understand at the 4th character level. Dexterity is needed for armor and initiative, wisdom for saving throws. For skills, we take sleight of hand and intimidation as expertise. Charlatan can double the proficiency bonus for 2 skills. We take acrobatics, so we don't slip, stealth and persuasion as proficiency. For origin, we take Dark Urge because we need its cloak for invisibility after a kill, but not just for that. Actually, this video is a bonus with my vision of what a Baal's assassin should be in general and the Dark Urge in particular. Well, kill me. I just can't reconcile Sorcerer with the Dark Urge background and how other Baalists behave in the game. After all, how do we see them in the 3rd act? First, very sneaky guys who prefer to paralyze or otherwise stun or immobilize the target. Second, after they cut it with daggers, they go invisible at every opportunity to attack from stealth again. And we implement all this in this build. From the 1st level, you'll have sneak attack for 1d6 damage, and every odd level it grows by another 1d6. Can be used when you have advantage, for example, you're sneaking, or when an ally is nearby. At the 2nd level we get bonus action activities, hide, dash and disengage, very useful things. At the 3rd, we take the assassin subclass, because we are not Baal's thief, not Baal's arcane trickster, and not even Baal's slayer. We are Baal's assassin. We regain main and bonus actions at the start of combat, meaning we're ready to kill anytime. Plus, we attack with advantage against everyone who hasn't taken their turn in combat yet, and the juiciest 100% crit against surprised enemies. We'll mercilessly exploit this thing the entire game. Also, Duergar at the 3rd level get enlarge. Once per long rest, you can increase in size and get advantage on strength checks and saving throws. But what's more important for us, we deal an extra 1d4 damage. Enlarge lasts 10 turns and doesn't require concentration. Recommend using right before combat. At the 4th level, we take a feat, and it will be Tavern Brawler. We raise Constitution to 18 and go look at gear. And later I'll explain what's even happening. All the items I'll show can be obtained by the 4th level. Let's start with the Circlet of Hunting from the chest in the Blighted Village. plus 3 meter movement speed for 3 turns, Deathstalker Mantle, invisibility after a kill, cheesy thing of the Dark Urge, which suits us just perfectly, allows infinite surprise rounds and killing one by one, Ring of Flinging, you'll have it blue, gives 1d4 damage when throwing, sold by the Halfling in the Druid Grove. Hunter Shortbow is needed for Hunter's Mark, 1d6 extra damage on weapon hit. After killing a target under Hunter's Mark, you get to apply it again, and so on until concentration breaks. Hunter's Dagger is bugged, and every time it deals damage, it applies Rend, sold by Grad the Trader in the Goblin Camp. Ritual Dagger gives an effect similar to Bless after a hit, but only for 1 turn. The description is incorrect or works buggy, depending on how you look. It's located either on Abdirak or near him. Goblin Slayer Dagger. All goblins attack you with disadvantage. It's in the dungeon where Halsin is, in the cell with the wargs. Can be equipped for fights with goblins. Guys, a small insert from editing. The Goblin Slayer Dagger is actually called Fang of the Underdark in the game. They are identical daggers, both give disadvantage. Next, items from the Underdark. I prefer going down by picking the door in Priestess God's room, and after that you can sneak past the guard in her chambers. By the way, here you can also steal the Amulet of Misty Step. In this location we find Sword of the First Blood. It deals an extra 1d8 damage to targets at full health. Highly recommend not limiting yourself only to daggers here. An amazing extra, and for us it will always be a crit for 2d8. On a small ledge behind the web, in a chest, lies the studded leather armor of the Drow, 12 AC and +1 to stealth. But you can wear padded armor, +2. And finally, we need to save Baelin the Brewer.
Nice day for fishing, ain't it?
For which his wife in the Myconid colony will give us the gloves of the Growling Underdog, which also add 1d4 damage when throwing, and you can buy a ring for +2 acid damage from her. If such quick acquisition of items bothers you and you're taking your time with the story, then just get them a bit later. And I almost forgot, we'll need a whole heap of daggers in inventory, preferably +1 ones. And now, watch your hands, because real magic begins. I sneak up on the ogres and apply Hunter's Mark, thereby surprising them, after which with my left hand, which holds the Sword of the First Blood, I crit for about 40 to 45 Dalton's Mage. I step back slightly and throw a dagger via throw for another 35 to 40 Dalton's Mage. Wrap your head around this. At the 4th level, dealing nearly 80 units of damage without haste potion in 1 turn. And how does it work? Of course, we crit, because we surprise them, plus, before combat, Enlarge was applied, which is another d4 damage. The first strike is the left hand with Sword of the First Blood, 2d6 from the sword, 2d8 because the target is at full HP, 2d4 from Enlarge, and 2d6 from Hunter's Mark. After that, the offhand attack triggers for another 4d6 damage. All damage dice are doubled due to critical hit. Then we threw a dagger at it. It has the thrown property, so it deals full damage. Weapons without this property will just deal damage based on their weight. In the throw damage, we have 2d4 from the dagger itself, plus 5 from strength. Yes, we need to drink an elixir of heal giant strength for 21 STR if we want the max from this build, because the Tavern Brawler feat adds the strength modifier to damage twice. After that comes 2d4 from Enlarge, 2d4 from the gloves, 2d4 from the ring. The names get confused here constantly, that's normal, don't pay attention. And additionally, as I said, plus 5 strength from Tavern Brawler, and the finale 2d6 from Hunter's Mark, it triggers here too. In my memory, this is one of the highest damages at the 4th level of all I've done. Probably only the Paladin with Great Weapon Master is close when he crits with Thunderous Smite and adds a normal smite on top, but he can only hit like that once, because he burns 2 out of 3 slots immediately, while we can deal such damage infinitely because we exit combat via invisibility and can surprise again, which is easily and conveniently done with Hunter's Mark. For such numbers, we took the best of everything, from Duergar Enlarge to Sword of the First Blood in the left hand, because we need to hit with it, specifically with the left, since throwing is only possible with the main hand action. If this can't be called the work of a build from Act 1, then I don't even know what can. and it even works at level 3 when there's no feat yet, just a bit less throw damage. But that's not all for damage. Previously I encountered one bug, but I didn't pay attention to it. It looks like this. Somehow we get another source of damage, and judging by the damage, it's 2d6 and bonuses. It's another left-hand attack. I tested different things and the conclusions are there must be a dagger in the right hand and a short sword in the left. We must hit with the left hand. The attack must be made, so to speak, on the run. As weird as it sounds, if you stand point blank, nothing happens. Works with any short swords. And the funniest thing, it only works with male dwarves. Well, and Duergar respectively too. This is some bug with their attack animation. Such an interesting coincidence that I decided to make a Duergar with daggers and therefore gave him a short sword in his left hand. You can't intentionally plan this, but we can't use this bug in this build because we'll take a multi-class that changes the Duergar's attack animation and this bug disappears. In all other cases, it works. Whether to use this or not is up to you. I'm just showing what I found myself. With this, so to speak, exploit, you can deal around 130 damage per opening. It's obvious that few things can survive such damage in Act 1. Completely unexpectedly, the one-handed weapon build surges ahead of Titan String Bow and Great Weapon Master builds. And so, Duergar have enlarge, which adds damage. There are other buffs, but at level 5 they get a completely broken imbue. Focus invisibility. It can be used infinitely outside combat during the day. The task of sneaking up on an enemy or going somewhere unnoticed has never been easier. And even if something goes wrong in combat, we turn invisible on our turn, just like the Baalists do in Act 3. I insist that this race fits the Dark Urge as Baal's chosen best. And as usual, after the 4th level, we leave Rogue for now and take the 1st level of Monk. You might think this is totally out of place here, but the Shadow Monk subclass fits perfectly both mechanically and lore-wise. But first, we took Tavern Brawler, and all the monk's unarmed strikes will get a bonus from it. Second, the Shadow Monk subclass fits perfectly both mechanically and lore-wise. As monks following the way of shadow value cunning and tricks, these monks called ninjas or shadow dancers serve as spies and assassins. And third, there's something for the build's damage here too. We get Flurry of Blows for bonus actions. Yes, Sword of the First Blood is great for the first bonus action attack, but it won't always be possible, because the target might not be at full health, and then Flurry of Blows will perfectly cover the damage window. With the Monk class, to the skill of cutting down the defenseless with weapons, we add perfect mastery of our body and the ability to crush skulls with bare hands. Very sinister, it seems to me. And it's also important that we get unarmored defense, and here we can quickly respec stats and take 15 constitution and 16 wisdom at level 1. With Tavern Brawler we make constitution 16, you can do this from level 1. And if you're willing to give this character the Hag's Hair dexterity, then set stats like this. Then you'll have 18 dexterity and 16 constitution and wisdom. At the second monk level we get extra movement speed if not wearing armor and utilities for bonus actions. At the third monk level we take Way of Shadow, this will be around the end of Act 1, we get stuff for darkness and stealth and the focus minor illusion. There is one hidden buff not mentioned on level up. At level 1, Monk gets martial arts unarmed strikes. Monk weapon attacks and unarmed strikes deal 1d4 damage, unless their damage die is higher. Monk weapons are everything the monk is proficient with. Proficiencies from other classes also count. And at the third monk level, the damage die of such weapons and their fists becomes 1d6. And all our daggers get a 1d6 damage die instead of 1d4, because we are proficient with them. Upgrading the dagger dice is precisely the thing that nullifies the argument about the dagger's small damage die. Now they are no worse than longswords or scimitars. And this works for both melee and throwing. By the way, here you can respec the character to 3 rogue, 4 monk to get the second attack faster in Act 2 without losing the feat. Gear hardly changes. On the mountain pass, buy Robe of Nobility from Lady Esther, gives +2 dexterity, jump distance, and Cat's Grace for advantage on dexterity checks and +1 to dexterity saving throws. With this rag, AC will be 18. You can also buy an Amulet of Restoration from Esther, but it's optional. Boots of Striding will protect from falling and immobilization. Knife of the Undermountain King will be a good choice for reducing crit chance and rerolling damage dice, and it gives advantage on all attacks against targets in dim light or darkness, even if hitting with another weapon. And by the way, the damage dice reroll also works for all melee weapon attacks. Amulet of Branding gives vulnerability to one damage type, fits for powerful crits and extra damage from sneak attack, and we still keep surprising and critting. Thrown daggers hit harder and Flurry of Blows crits well. But do we have problems with enemies we can't surprise? Well, yes and no. In the Inquisitor's chambers, you can easily slaughter all his retinue via invisibility from the cloak, because they can be surprised, unlike the Inquisitor himself. And it's important to turn off knockout if you took it, because invisibility from the cloak doesn't trigger from it. For reliability, take Sword of the First Blood in your right hand and one-shot enemies with sneak attack, although throw dagger damage is usually sufficient. And then we just start bullying him. We hit with sneak attack from invisibility, add pressure with bonus actions, and escape back to invisibility via the Daggger focus. Repeat until victory. Before Act 2, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to this channel and like if you enjoy my videos. This is very important for growth and will show YouTube that my channel is great and worth recommending to other viewers. Thank you very much. In Act 2, we continue leveling Monk. At the 5th level, we get extra attack for the main action, which is quite pleasant. Plus another way to become invisible, but now in shadows, which has no concentration, meaning it won't break Hunter's Mark from the bow. And since all of Act 2 is pitch black shadows, it will be convenient to use this Cloak of Shadows. And we get 2 ways to stun enemies, with weapons and barehanded. A very cool thing for enemy control, allowing you to keep opponents stunned until the monk's key points run out, and we still deal damage while doing it. Baalists, like to immobilize their victim before killing. At the 6th level, the monk's unarmed strikes overcome the target's resistance to bludgeoning damage. Unarmored movement speed increases by another 4.5 meters, and Shadow Step gives incredible mobility. Now you can teleport freely and unlimitedly from shadow to shadow. Combined with the Daggger's invisibility, this is the ultimate tool for infiltrating anywhere. And by the way, for teleport you don't necessarily need natural shadow. You can just shoot an arrow of darkness and jump to the very edge of its cloud. With Monk, that's it for now. We go back to Rogue, and at the 4th level, total Rogue 4, take a new feat. Since we have armor with +2 dexterity and have the Hex here, taking dexterity makes no sense. Meanwhile, Savage Attacker will be a good choice for weapon melee attacks or Alert to definitely outpace everyone in initiative in the first round. Act 2 gear upgrades. We replace the Corrosive Ring with the Shade Slayer Ring for 1 to 4 Dalton's Mage in low light. Plus, we can hit with the left hand with swords like these. Render of Mind and Body. 1d8 psychic damage on attack with advantage. Short Sword of First Blood, bleeding on attack with advantage. Lifebringer 10 necrotic damage, 10 temporary HP on crit. Sword of Screams with an attack that doesn't break stealth. Don't forget that the preferred main action is throwing daggers, as I said, so you can take anything in the right hand. For daggers, there is the Ritual Dagger, also Shar's Dagger, which was cut from the game but still lies in its files, the regular Shar Dagger, and it's a shame it was removed. It deals an extra 1d6 necrotic damage to those not in sunlight and has an ability like Shar Spear that hits everyone around. It's a very strong ability. I have a build based on it, you can watch it via the hint or in the description. This dagger can be obtained from a mod for all items. I use this one. It's also not wrong to keep the Knife of the Undermountain King in the right hand because it gives great buffs. There's another interesting ring, Eversight Ring. We have Darkness from the Monk for key points. With this ring, we can lure enemies to one spot with the Monk's Minor Illusion, throw Darkness, turn on turn-based mode, and then just stand there and cut everyone down with advantage on attacks, because we won't be blinded. Plus, we have a high chance of passing the stealth check and thus not raising the alarm. Amulet of Surgical Conquest works great against humanoids. After the first crit, we apply paralysis for 2 turns, meaning even more free crits without needing to exit combat. In battles where invisibility from killing isn't feasible, you can wear the protective cloak. It gives +1 AC and +1 to saving throws, and evasive shoes also give +1 AC to our not quite high armor amount. And of course, Killer's Sweetheart Ring for another crit per day. And in Act 2, besides daggers, you can carry light hammers, which are also throwable because there are many skeletons here, and they are usually vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. Moreover, the final boss Mirkul has no resistance specifically to bludgeoning damage, while he does to others. Overall, it's clear, we have extra attack, 2 whole invisibilities with which you can throw enemies very funnily, easily leaving combat, free teleport, and you can just cast the Monk's Pass without race for key points and stand there throwing daggers at enemies, successfully passing stealth checks. And keeping the enemy stunned every turn with the Monk Strike is, as always, very powerful. In Act 3, we just need to level up and collect top tier gear. There are several leveling options. Take Monk 8 for another feat, then without armor, plus 2 dex, dex will be 20, or take 2 levels of fighter for action surge. But I suggest this option. First, Monk to the 7th level. Here, evasion. Anything that deals damage to us with a dexterity saving throw deals half damage if we fail, and nothing if we pass. And stillness of mind, if you are charmed or frightened, you can cancel this condition at the start of your turn. This costs an action and cannot be turned off. And at the 5th rogue level, offhand attack becomes 3d6, and we get the ability to halve damage from the first attack against us. And now step by step about the gear. Obviously, the top tier gear is from Fitz the Merchant at the Murder Tribunal and also loot from Orion, but what do we have before that? Soul Rejuvenation Robe fits due to the Monk multiclass. Boots of Uninhibited Kushigo add damage to unarmed bonus action attacks. Helmet of Greed gives another bonus action if HP is below half, for double flurry of blows. But this is light armor, be careful, unarmored defense won't work with it. Sword of Master Ambush is okay but not great, we already have better weapons from Act 2. Rhapsody from Cazador gives +3 to attack rolls, spell save DC, and importantly to damage. Works on thrown dagger attacks, monk unarmed attacks, and normal melee, a very cool thing. Cloak of Displacement for battles where we can't easily leave combat and restart it via Dark Urge Cloak Invisibility. And since we are playing Dark Urge, it will be canonical not to kill Dollar to access feats, but to start killing victims from the list. Then this guy will come to us and offer to kill another victim and collect their hands. After completing the quest, he gives us the password to the Murder Tribunal, and at the entrance will stand Dolor, whom we can fight for the right to become Baal's unholy assassin. After the ritual, we get access to the Baalist armor with an aura of immunity to piercing damage, gloves of the creeping craze, which are still broken and give lots of extra damage. Also, this merchant has the dagger of the Iron Fear, but it's kinda boring. I don't really consider Dollar's daggers for this build because they don't add anything to throw damage, only to melee. Having stocked up on all this junk, we go to punch Orion in the face. It's very simple for the Dark Urge, especially if you took her Slayer form, a crit with Elidur's warding staff plus paralysis from the amulet, and that's it. Orion loses the duel. It's even kinda sad to defeat her like that. We get Crimson Mischief and Bloodthirst from her. This is a good weapon pair, but there are a couple of points. Crimson Mischief in the right hand deals extra damage when attacking with advantage. This is good because we attack everyone who hasn't taken their turn in combat with advantage. Bloodthirst, in turn, reduces the crit threshold by 1 and is bound to us, meaning you can throw it at a target and it returns to the left hand. Convenient, and now you don't need to carry a heap of daggers. But Bloodthirst itself doesn't give any extra damage bonuses. In my taste, Rhapsody is more interesting because it gives both +3 to hit and +3 to damage, and we already crit quite well against surprised enemies, and we can paralyze humanoids via the amulet if needed. So in the right hand, we definitely take Crimson Mischief, and in the left, you can take either Rhapsody or the Knife of the Undermountain King. And the last bloody cherry on the cake is poisons. A true Baal's assassin uses the gift of Karabas or Karabas poison. I don't know which is correct. The gift is thrown at the target, the poison is applied to weapons. Both cause paralysis if the target fails the saving throw DC 15 for the gift, DC 13 for the poison. The gift drops from Dalor and other ballists and also lies in the Act 2 morgue. The poison can be bought from the undead nurse in the Act 2 hospital. And there's another similar poison, Carrion Crawler Mucus. In its properties, it's the same as Karabas poison. It can be crafted or bought from these guys, DC 13. Guys, another insert from editing day. I just suddenly found another thing. I told you about the gift of Karabas. It says it just gives paralysis after being thrown at the target, but it has one hidden property. When it hits a target and the target fails the save, it doesn't just get paralysis. It gets vulnerability to slashing, piercing and bludgeoning damage. I honestly only learned this just now, I confess, but I simply never used this poison, this gift, before. Never threw it at enemies because there were other ways to pacify. But now you can do this. Even for Orin. Well, it's clear it's a duel with the Dark Urge and she dies very simply here, but anyway. I even specifically didn't take up weapons to just spank her on the ass with the monk's bare fists, and our rogue crit doesn't matter. It'll be a crit anyway. You can even crit paralyze her on the spot. By the way, 2 paralyzes will hang at once. Also a funny trick. Well, and just a flurry of blows and then another punch on the ass, and that's it. With such leveling and gear, plus the right approach to fights, you can have a blast dismantling opponents and come out unscathed. Fitz and Orin literally fly away in 2 hits. Gortash is tougher due to his Avatar of Tyranny form, but also gets glued in 1 turn if done right. I was surprised to discover that in Wyrm's Rock Fortress you can calmly break his Steel Watcher force fields and everyone just doesn't care. And they give Gortash damage resistance. The main thing is not to stray far from him so the guards don't aggro on you. And then you can attack and cut. I first drank an elixir of vigilance plus 5 initiative to go first, and then in combat drank the strength elixir. Important point for the Gortash fight: apply the amulet paralysis only after he enters his avatar form, because when he does that, he clears all control effects. Well, then it's a small matter, couple of pokes and throws and it's done. I managed to dish out about 880 damage on this build in clean test conditions. And by the way, for the Gortash fight, it's better to put our throwing gloves back on, because in the Avatar of Tyranny form, he is immune to force damage, which the gloves of the Creeping Craze give. Thanks for watching the video to the end, smash those likes, subscribe and all that stuff so the channel grows and develops, and see you in new videos.